Hello everybody and welcome back to the SAT course. Today we're going to be doing lesson 8 out of 15 on transitions. So let's take a look. A transition is basically a word or maybe a few words together that you can use to move from one idea to the next. These two ideas do not have to contrast each other, but basically the idea is to just create a smooth flow of ideas from one to the next. Of course, it's going to be important to be able to understand what the transition word means, so therefore knowledge of many different transition words is very helpful. But of course, nothing's better than practice, so let's just go ahead and straight into it. One poll taken after the first 1960 presidential debate suggested that John Kennedy lost badly. Only 21% of those who listened on the radio rated him the winner. Blank. The debate was ultimately considered a victory for the telegenic young senator, who rated higher than his opponent, Vice President Richard Nixon, among those watching on the new medium of television. So, let's just first of all take a second and look at what the ideas here are. The first idea here says that John Kennedy lost badly. And then the second one says that he still was considered the victor of the debate because he rated higher than his opponent. So we can see here that there is a contrast. We're going from he didn't look very well to he did win anyway. So which of these transition phrases would correctly get that idea across? Likewise is not the answer. Therefore, once again, because these signify a continuation of the idea, and in other words, isn't related to a switch in ideas, it's just restating. So that would make D the correct answer here, nevertheless, because nevertheless means that although this happened, this was the case anyway. In November 1934, Amrita Shergill was living in what must have seemed like the ideal city for a young artist, Paris. She was studying firsthand the color-saturated style of France's modernist masters and beginning to make a name for herself as a painter. Blank, Shergill longed to return to her childhood home of India. Only there, she believed, could her art truly flourish. So, let's look at the ideas. She was living in an amazing city for a young artist. However, she wanted to return to her childhood home of India. So, which transition word would continue this idea? Therefore, once again, does not create a contrast. Indeed also does not make a contrast. Indeed kind of means because of this, this happened, not in contrast. And furthermore, similar to indeed, which would make still the correct choice here, because we're saying she was in Paris, but still she wants to go back to India. In his 1925 book, The Morphology of Landscape, U.S. geographer Carl Sauer challenged prevailing views about how natural landscapes influence human cultures. Sauer argued that instead of being shaped entirely by their natural surroundings, cultures play an active role in their own development by virtue of their interactions with the environment. So, let's take a look at the ideas. This man challenged prevailing views about how natural landscapes influence human cultures. And it elaborates on exactly how he did that. He shaped entirely by their natural surroundings and how cultures play an active role in their own development. So this elaborated on the first idea. So now let's look at the transition words. Similarly is talking about another idea which is similar but doesn't elaborate on the idea stated. Finally basically means it's at the end or the last thing that happened, doesn't relate. Therefore, this one seems like it might be correct, however, therefore doesn't say exactly the specifications. It's kind of a cause and effect. So that would make D correct, because specifically, how did he challenge prevailing views? And this is how right here. Our last example. Although those who migrated to California in 1849 dreamed of finding gold nuggets in stream beds, the state's richest deposits were buried deeply in rock, beyond the reach of individual prospectors. Blank, by 1852, many had given up their fortune-hunting dreams and gone to work for one of the large companies capable of managing California's complex mining operations. So, let's look at the ideas. People migrated to California in dream of finding gold in stream beds, but they realized it was actually going to be much harder than they initially thought, because the individual would not be able to reach gold on their own. As a result of this, many had given up their dreams and gone to work for a large company. So, let's see what transition fits this. A. Furthermore. This seems like it might be a good answer choice, but we should take a look back at it later. B. Still. Still means a contrast, but it's not quite exactly the right one here, because still would give the idea that although it was hard to find deeply in rock, individual prospectors did it anyway. So that would make it still incorrect. Consequently is also a very good option, so we'll compare C and A later. And next would be incorrect, because this isn't a chronological progression. It's kind of, they came here, couldn't do this, so they ended up coming to the large companies. So next would be a continuation of the idea. This kind of is a change in idea. So this would be incorrect. Let's look at furthermore versus consequently. The reason here why consequently is actually the correct answer is because if we look at consequently, they're saying people migrated to California to find gold nuggets in stream beds, but the state's richest deposits were deeply in rock, beyond the reach of the individual. As a result of this, consequently, by 1852, many had given up their dreams and gone to work for one of the large companies. Furthermore is not the same as consequently, in the idea that furthermore would give the idea that individual prospectors could not, furthermore, and it would give another reason why the individual would not be able to. It wouldn't give the consequence of the difficulty of reaching it by the individual prospector. So consequently is the correct answer here. Of course, some final tips. First, understanding the idea, it's important. It is quintessential that you understand the idea so that you can actually know the correct transition word to use. Of course, understand your transitions and choose wisely. You need to make sure that you know how the idea is changing. You need to know what the initial idea is, what the one after it is, and what change occurred. That way you can choose the correct transition word. Practice makes perfect. Please continue practicing these words, these questions, so that you can continue to get better at them. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe, it really helps me out a lot, and good luck on any SATs in the future. Goodbye.